Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. We begin this morning in Washington, where President Trump's economic policies are starting to take hold. The Labor Department says employers in the U.S. only added 73,000 jobs last month, far fewer than the 100,000 expected. And with more tariffs about to take effect later this week, the president is giving some countries more time to make a deal. Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson joins us with more.
With this new tariff deadline extended, this will give countries more time to try and strike a deal with the White House. But over on Capitol Hill, some lawmakers are raising concerns about this creating economic uncertainty. President Donald Trump is taking his trade war to a new level.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple.
Tariff rates could jump to 35% for Canada, 25% for India, and 20% for Taiwan.
And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. And look, we like Canada. I love Canada.
New tariffs on Mexico and China remain on hold.
We promised that the president would negotiate with countries all around the world to cut tailor-made trade deals.
On Capitol Hill, congressional Democrats are pouncing, accusing the administration of playing politics with the global economy and failing to coordinate with allies.
All talk, no substance, and raising costs for the average American.
There's everything from big manufacturers to the pie shop that buys aluminum pie tins from Canada. Their costs are going up.
And all eyes will be watching to see if this new tariff deadline leads to better deals or a new round of retaliation. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson, back to you.
Thank you, Rashad. Michael Miller is Professor Emeritus of Economics at DePaul University, currently Instructor of Economics at Western Washington University. And he joins us now. Michael, it's so good to see you. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah, it sure has. Good morning to you.
And to you. So let's take a look at the economic news first. Not only were the numbers weak for July, but the job numbers were also revised downwards for the previous 2 months, a total of 258,000 down from those 2 months. How do they get it so wrong?
What they do, and you focused on exactly the numbers that I was going to focus upon. It's the numbers for the new jobs is done through what is called an establishment survey, where they contact firms of all different sizes and ask them how many people on some given day are actually employed at your work site. And they only take a sample. And then as the months go along, they get more information that comes in through other forms, through tax reports and things like this. And with those, they can update the original survey. And what has happened over the past year, actually, and these past 2 months were very much a lot of revision, they have found that they overestimated. They have a model that they use to estimate the number of jobs based upon the raw figures they get in the survey. But their forecasts are simply been wrong lately. They have overestimated for some reason consistently how many jobs are created each month. And once they have all the good, solid data from the corporations, they find that the number of jobs is smaller. So that's why that 258,000 was kind of it was striking. Now here's the deal: for unemployment to remain roughly stable, which it moved from 4.1 to 4.2, which is it's still full employment, and it is 1/10 move is not statistically significant. But to keep unemployment from rising, you have to have roughly 115,000 new jobs per month to absorb all of the new entrants that come into the market. And we have fallen below that number. So that's to me the worrisome point here is the jobs Michael, at the moment.
Yeah, let me just, I want to pull that apart a little bit.
Sure.
So the White House responded to that saying, well, we're seeing decent numbers in education and healthcare. We weren't seeing decent numbers in manufacturing and farming, basically saying part of that has to do with Trump policies on immigration. That's why we're seeing perhaps fewer workers on the farms. But then, of course, Trump on Friday afternoon also issued a statement where he said it's all fake news and it's made up. Do you trust that comment?
No, it's not fake news. I believe these people in Washington who generate these numbers are good, solid citizens who are doing their work. Many of them are statisticians, economists, accountants, and so forth. they're not trying to hoodwink anyone. They're just trying to create the best database we could possibly have on what's going on in the economy. We did see, by the way, that government also fell. Now, that's not surprising given what has been happening with government jobs. But if you want to think of it, he thinks it's a bunch of hokum. It's not. What it is beginning to show is a slowdown in the labor market. Not enough that it's going to lead to some kind of a recession, but certainly some of the vibrancy has come off the labor market that we had before.
Well, before we shift to tariffs, then let me ask you a Jerome Powell question, because of course the president keeps going after him, blaming him for everything because he won't lower the rates. Powell says, with all this tariff stuff going on, I can't lower the rates right now. Do you know this past week at a Fed meeting, for the first time in decades, a couple of the board members actually disagreed with Jerome Powell. How influential, even if he had lowered the rates by 25 basis points, I mean, would we be in this position now or not?
Well, of course, these are data from the month already passed. This is from the month of July. So we're looking, I don't want to say history, but we're looking at data from before. And the Fed is always looking at the future. They're looking 1 quarter to 5 quarters into the future. So it would have some effect later this year. And of course, a 1/4% drop could have positive effects, say, upon things like housing, most importantly, the housing industry, which could affect housing construction. It could affect people's ability to get into homes where they would then buy furniture and things like that. So it could have some positive effects if they would lower the rate. I understand he doesn't want people to believe that if prices do go up because of tariffs in the near future, that he's given up.
Yeah, let me ask about tariffs. As you know, last week he issued 10% tariffs on countries where we have a trade surplus, 15% if we don't. 26 countries just all over the different place. What is your response? Congress is supposed to be doing this, and they've just abdicated their responsibility. But does that send a message to the markets when you have essentially a president who's striking all these numbers and making them the deal?
I think the markets have simply come to accept that he is going to make these decisions and they are going to become law. I happen to agree with you that this is not something that there's an act that allows the president in a time of emergency to deal with tariffs as a way to deal with some kind of an emergency. It's just that there is no emergency. And I would much rather see these tariffs debated on the floors of Congress, because that's where the Constitution puts such a power. The power of taxation is with Congress, not with the president.
There is one interesting one. He's got a 50% tariff on Brazil, which is where we get a lot of meat, saying he's just not happy with how they're treating former dictator Bolsonaro over there. Right. A legitimate reason to put a high tariff on the country?
No, not at all.
Okay, no. We should probably leave that there, I think. Just before we lose our time, I want to talk to you a little bit about who pays these tariffs, because right now it looks like exporters are eating a bit, importers eating a bit, but is there any doubt that this eventually comes to the consumers more in full?
No, a majority, a vast majority will be borne by Americans. Let's put it that way. Certainly, we have found that some of the producers in other countries, they must have been making pretty good money because they've been able to lower their prices some. So some of the price increase we would expect in a tariff, the tariff tax has actually been absorbed by the producers in the other countries. But we do know that that you and I, as a consumer, and the companies that sell us these things, of course, they could absorb part of it by reducing their profits and so forth. But let's remember, they're Americans. Oh. And these people then who would reduce how much they pass on to you and me, they will have a lower income. They will have less to spend in the economy. And therefore, we Americans will bear the cost. Yeah, so I would guess that 3/4 at least is being borne by Americans, not by the foreign sector.
Yeah, complicated issues, but we're going to feel it as it gets more real over time. Professor Michael Miller, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Enjoy your Sunday. Looks like a beautiful day behind you. Thanks for being here.
It is. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to take our first break. Coming up next on WGN TV Political Report.
Danny, when you going to retire? When you going to do this? I never paid 1 ounce of interest in any of that.
Why 30-year incumbent Congressman Danny Davis says now is the right time to call it quits, and who he says should take his place. Later this half hour, another staple in the Chicago political world steps away from his post. Retired Alderman Walter Burnett. He joins me in studio to talk about what's next.